that it is that nice idea that as long as you make it to the back, you don't have to worry about any bombs to check the back of the escape. But it looks like we are off though.
Huh. Well, there's the bombs.
Yeah, so I don't think we want to see Uncle Bombs anymore, because that would just be like, hey, you lost 3 bombs at this point. Quick map check, I thought I saw some crystals on Desert and Hare and Blue Pendant over on Eastern.
That is what I saw as well. Well, in that case, I am hoping for a sword, because I want to be nice to these races right now.
Actually, I think it would be interesting to see a bow now with a Pendant Eastern Palace. Oh, we're going to start with Samaria, though.
That's one of those fairly convenient ones. It's not tight for magic at all, since you can reuse the block for many hits. So that's one of those, you know, good things that you want to get early.
Yeah, and we've got more bombs as well, so not only do you have your bombs for the back of escape, but you got all your bombs for Kakariko Village already, too.
Yep, 6 is all you're going to ever need in the early game. So for now we have these races going head-to-head into the Rescue Zelda sequence. That is, of course, required to be completed in a standard seed.
Yep, gotta go all the way to Zelda's cell, rescue her, take her to the sanctuary, and then the game can really begin. First chest, though, we already have some fetch quests. We got some shovel action.
I'd argue it's best to get it right now, because you can maybe route it in somehow with Kakariko, even though it is kind of out of the way no matter how you look at it. But something worse would be if you got it, if you decided to do south to north Kakariko, and then you get it in the north, and you're like, well, I don't really want to go back down there to dig.
I mean, it's possible maybe we'll see some of these racers save and quit after finishing, or saving Zelda, going to Link's house to do that south route because of the shovel.
I feel like that route would be slightly more attractive if they had no bombs to begin with, because Grove is one of those relatively reliable sources of bombs.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, another thing, maybe if they find gloves as well, they could just, you know, walk from the race game, check shovel instead of doing the save and quit like you typically see. Just go right from the shovel game to the dam. It's probably about the same amount of time as a save and quit at that point. Especially if you find boots.
Wow, that is early. So this is going to be one blazing fast seed.
So yeah, north to south route after saving Zelda and dropping her off at the sanctuary, doing that shovel and then just immediately sprinting over to the dam. I might not see a save and quit for a while now. We'll see how the racers decide to do this though.
This is going to be one randomizer that very closely resembles a single segment run.
But yeah, as chat says, early boots, pretty much every runner's dream. This is an item you really want to find early, or I'm guessing kind of not at all at that point, because kind of locks some interesting things that you don't think about later in the seed, like a desert palace, stuff like that.
You could also be looking at a big key on the torch of Ganon's Tower, of course. And yeah, as you mentioned, boots are one of those things that you either want to get like really early along with everyone else, or you want to get a hint saying that it's so far out of your way that nobody's actually going to bother getting it.
Yeah, definitely, because if you find boots late, then you immediately feel like, oh, and these are really easily accessible, it feels pretty bad.
Exactly.
Right, our dark cross chest just holding a key that had to be one, because or not, we would have been soft locked.
notice we are getting a free light cone in this dark room here, without the lamp. This is just so that you don't have to do a dark room, because this is obviously dark. You don't get this anywhere else in the standard mode, and you don't get this at all in open or inverted.
Yep, and that light cone will stay throughout the entire game, just for the sewers. So back of escape, we've got Quake, a heart container, and the map. So we've got one item in the sanctuary chest then.
I don't imagine anyone is going to skip that, but yes, of course, if the sanctuary chest contained the map, racers who paid attention to what they were getting would obviously not be opening it.
And our first racer out of the sewers in the escape is Rebus, running the Sonic.
At 5 minutes 55, which is entirely attributable to the fact that we got the boots. Usually this is a 6-10 sequence close to it, I believe.
Yeah, they got a good weapon to go through that can kind of slow some racers down as well, depending on the weapon you start with. But yeah, with Samari and boots, definitely. Let's see, we've got all 3 racers so far that have made it this far. Checking bonk rocks for that piece of heart. We'll see if Verts also checks.
I don't expect that we'll see any sort of routing divergence for a long while here. All racers are going to be very thorough about checking north to south, and then it's probably off to the dam unless we find some very strong indicators that we should be going to, say, Death Mountain.
Yes, and looked like it was just 50 rupees on Lumberjack Ledge, so if we need to kill Egg, it's not going to be for that item.
It looked like a piece of heart in the Lost Woods exposed item where you usually find the mushroom, and just 10 arrows in the drop down.
Yes. We got a nice bomb pole. 8 bombs. I don't think that was tier 1 because they defeated too many enemies. It's probably the tier 2.
Everyone has taken damage, so it's almost certainly the one that you get. I don't know which tier it is exactly, but it's almost certainly the tier that you get if you take damage since the last pull.
Doesn't look like we've got anything major so far out of Blind's Hut. We'll see what this last chest in the back holds. Just 50 rupees, so plenty of rupees, some bombs, and that's about it.
Yeah, so far it seems like, other than, of course, the guaranteed item that they get and boots, it might be a little bit item starved, and as I say that, they'll probably open up like 5 different items. But it could be a good preliminary indicator that you're expected to do something like Ganon for Darkhold access, or that there's like some sort of early curveball hidden.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so Wells, rupees. Well, we got blue mail. So blue mail was major, but no progression. Yep, boots were in Zelda's chest.
Just bombs from the bottle window, which accounts for 11 out of our 13 items in Kakariko that we can get without any additional progression.
Well, there's some power gloves, though.
It looks like you may be right. They're probably just going to go from the grove directly to Dam. With those gloves, I definitely would see that play happen.
I mean, you could save and quit, and it'd probably be about the same amount of time. But with boots, it might be just a little bit faster, not saving quit from shovel spot.
And you have to remember that you'll be taking 2 extra screen transitions, one of which is leaving the underworld, so it's hard to say. There's an early powder as well, but we do not have a way to access the good side of the magic bat cave yet.
No, it leaves it on the table for when we find a hammer or we have Dark World access with the mirror.
₹300 at the racing game. I don't know if you should leave that behind. Zora could be on the table anytime soon.
Yeah, and gloves, he's within logic too. So I don't know if I would leave 300 rupees behind yet. So Rebus is not going to be leaving that behind. Illis is. And it looks like it was just 20 rupees.
I didn't catch it, and it was hidden behind the tree when he pulled up the menu, so... Well, he didn't pick it up, so it's probably very insignificant.
Alright, Rebus getting the rupee horde. Verts following right behind.
And Virtua Cat is going to ignore it. Interesting.
So yeah, 2 runners that grabbed it, 2 runners that left it. Yep, just 20 rupees. Rebus is going to grab that.
Another piece of heart in the dam. We are rapidly running out of locations here. Minimodon pretty much has to contain something if races don't want to be doing very unappealing options right now, such as Pendant Eastern Palace.
Yes, right now, kind of what we have without going out of sequence. We've got Zora, Sahasrahla, Eastern Palace, that'd be Ice Rod Cave, and Agana would be all that we have left.
Well, there's the flute in Minimodon Cave, so there's Death Mountain access, although that doesn't open a whole lot.
I don't know, gives us the item Inside Spectacle Rock as far as logic. Chances are we'll probably see some dark rooms in Saving the Old Man as well.
Which is, of course, a sequence break, so it definitely does not have the intended progression right now. I also expect this to be used to access Ice Rod Cave, just because, you don't really want to isolate that, although with the flute, of course, you can go back whenever you want.
Yeah, and it is actually faster if you do find the flute to save and quit, go grab the duck, even with boots, I believe, and then just fluting to 8 and going and checking Ice Rod.
Makes sense because you're cutting out the about 1.5 screens worth of walking that you usually do, because you're going to activate the flute anyway, so you just essentially continue a little bit further ahead from where you left off.
Yeah, but that's the only major thing inside of Mini Moldarm Cave, so again, new item, only gave us 1 actual new location as far as what we can check right now.
It looks like Illis is going back for the 300 rupees as well. Makes sense with that Zora check just looming.
Yeah, I think that's what he's thinking about. Yep, and pretty much every runner doing the same thing. Gets flute, saves and quits, going to activate it.
This is very mobile seed already. Like 40 minutes in, we have boots and flute. This is essentially a runner's dream so far. And in fact, with the very little locations left, they would need 3 more items to access Aghanim, so it's looking a bit unlikely, whereas it's more likely that they get an extra glove or the hammer to access the Dark World. And there's, of course, the question of the pearl, but yeah.
Well, there's 100 rupees, so Illis does have the money for Zora now.
is setting up a water walk minor glitch by dashing south out of the ice rod cave along the hole. All he has to do is jump into the water facing south, and he will be walking on top of it. And you can use this water walking state, as you can see here, to open the waterfall ferry cave chests ahead of time. Of course, this is entirely out of logic.
Yep, and rebus doing the same thing with the water walking. Virtual Cat going a little bit differently and has actually went up to Death Mountain. Same with verts.
It doesn't look like it's paying off just yet, but of course you are getting the save point, so it doesn't really come off as a problem unless you unnecessarily dip the Old Man Rescue Cave from the other side. But of course you have the flute, so you didn't.
Yep, and Zora is just a piece of heart, and there was only 50 rupees on the Zora ledge. So this is not the answer.
That basically leaves us with Sahasrahla and Eastern Palace.
Yep, and Agana as well.
Which isn't that scary with the flute in hand either. But at this point I would be amazed to see just 2 swords and lamp in like a rapid fire mode.
Well, we've got a bottle in Sahasrahla's closet though, so that opens up Sick Kid at the very least.
Plot indeed thickens.
So now the fun question for everybody is, if you had the equipment the runners have right now and you either have to dip into a Pendant Eastern Palace, but there's still something in Agana, would you check Agana first?
I feel like at this point, the decision isn't particularly significant enough, and the reason is any of the locations that you have left open are within arm's reach of flute spot. However, Eastern Palace does have the biggest item density here. And there's Hookshot, so that opens up a whole lot on Death Mountain.
Yep, we've got all of East Death Mountain open now. And we also got some information on Virtual Cat's side, decided to talk to Sahasrahla. We've got a green pendant on Swamp Palace.
Another thing that you would be glad to see.
Yes, so now I'm sure our runners, or at least Virtual Cat, with this information is hoping probably never see flippers for the rest of the game.
It's entirely possible at this point that it would be just chilling in Ganon's Tower. I do not believe there's anything left that we need to access with that. Of course, there could be progression in Swamp. I am getting a little bit ahead here, but of course the hope is that there isn't.
I mean, racers are definitely hoping that there's nothing in Swamp Palace, because I don't know many racers who would like to dive into a pendant Swamp Palace.
It's only really the left side that's particularly bad about it. If you can, for a 100% guarantee that you can skip it via a hint or just through deduction of item locations, and it's really not as bad as, say, pre-hint Ice Palace, where you had 3 items scattered in a very long dungeon. Of course, now that Ice Palace has 3 hints, it's also one of those places that you could absolutely consider dipping if you don't really have any better option. Well, yeah. Not in this point in the race, of course.
Yeah, but I have been seeing that a lot more often, from racers that maybe typically might not dive Ice Palace. They will do that if they don't have any information just because of those hints, and they need to clear it anyway. So, from what we know as Eastern Palace, though, there is an item on the Armos Knights.
And that's one of those things. Things that accumulate over the seed, right? Is that you have one item left here, one item left there, because at the time when you were forced to dip it, it wasn't practical or possible to get there. And that's something that the races are going to have on the back of their minds for a while.
So Rebus, the way he routed it is he fluted to 5 and went right to Eastern Palace, and then left Eastern Palace to go to Sahasrahla.
It's interesting. If you know that there's something in Eastern Palace, that would be the optimal route. Or if you're gambling that the 3 items in Eastern Palace are more valuable than the 3 items in Sahasrahla. Or if you're like planning to get everything, it's definitely the best way to do it. But if there's anything on Sahasrahla, you will be behind those who didn't have to check Eastern.
Has to be careful here, down to 1 heart.
And that dead rock has been stunned in a very bad position. He could not proceed. He's in fact heading back to the old man cave to restore his health.
Yep, I do not blame that at all.
Yeah, Death Mountain can be a breeze or it can be absolute hell, depending just on Boulder and dead rock RNG.
Safety Joe, dark rooms are never considered to be in logic. The game will never put any item behind the dark room unless it has a lamp, and that's accessible. So most runners do learn dark rooms, especially the easier ones like Eastern Palace and like grabbing the old man. I have never seen the bomb jump done that way.
Was he holding the bomb there?
He was.
For a second. I suppose it doesn't make a difference as long as you're on the correct pixel. I actually wonder if that works in other locations as well, such as, I don't know, the Tower of Hera Big Chest bomb jump. Although in that case the bomb would be above you because you're holding it above your head.
Yeah, I think that's the only bomb jump you're actually above. And you need to just go straight south. Well, there's our Moon Pearl in Paradox Cave. So we are looking for another glove upgrade or the hammer.
Or 2 swords and the lamp.
Or that, which could, there's 5 chests here. They could just all be here, your Ega starting package.
And you, of course, still have Agina. I think Sick Kid was checked on one of the screens.
Yep, Sick Kid. Oh, we got a book, so, well, Desert Palace is open now. Oh, we got a cape, though.
Alright, I'm listening. This seat has been, for the most part, too good to the runners. So there has to be a curveball somewhere.
I mean, this could very well be the curveball, just a bunch of breadcrumbs to keep checking stuff, be like, you're only 1 item away from Dark World access. Go fight Ganon.
That's the fire rod, I believe, on the floating island. They'll be coming back to that one later.
Yep, that definitely was a fire rod. But they will definitely be coming back for that, because what we know about the Pendant so far is that fire rod is going to be required for either Skullwoods or Turtle Rock, if not both. Spiral Cave, just 20 rupees. So I'm sure we are going to see a flute to number 6 in time to check out the desert area.
Yeah, we haven't... Oh, we have opened Desert Palace, of course. So, yeah, this is basically the only play they have, other than those who didn't check Sick Kid yet.
Yes. Yes, the worst part about having to go to the desert, and I wonder if the runners are going to be thinking about this as well, is this very well, unless we find a lamp inside of Desert Palace, this is going to be potentially a forced double dip in a Desert Palace, assuming that Agana did not have the progression.
That is correct. Although, mind that if at some point we happen to pick up Mirror, which not strictly necessary with Swamp Palace not being required, of course, but they could just mirror from the mire area to the back, so it's not as bad as, say, having to double dip past Darkness or any of the longer dungeons. The chat is pointing out, and I agree with it, and you did as well pointed out, that Agena probably is the better first check here, just in case there's fire, so you don't have to enter twice.
Well, there is our Dark World access, though. We've got the mitts. Oh, and some valuable information there. Ether requires the green pendant,
Which is, of course, Swamp Palace. That could be our curveball. Now, the question is, because it says green pendant, does that also include the pedestal, which of course also requires the green pendant?
I don't believe so. I believe that's strictly what Sahasrahla is holding, because I know Pedestal can say requires all 3 pendants, or even in the Lost Woods can also refer to the pedestal. Alright, so we got both items out of desert. The important one being the mitts. The other one was 3 bombs. It looks like our runners are going to go check Agana, and then I'm sure we are going to be seeing a play into the Dark World, because we're pretty much done with the Light World at that point.
Yep.
Unless you want to go back to Death Mountain, I guess, because technically that does open Dark Death Mountain.
And that's exactly what I was going to mention, is that we have 2 plays here. One is to check Village of Outcasts, and currently your only weapon against blind is Somaria. Not a bad weapon, not sure how comfortable the runners feel with it. Or you could, of course, go to Dark Death Mountain, Super Bunny Cave, Hookshot Cave. You can pretty much clear it, other than that one fire rod that you left there. Rebus is going for it. You know, you could also potentially open up Turtle Rock if it requires... Oh no, sword. My bad.
No sword. And we don't have a hammer either. The other thing we could see as well, I just remembered, we could check the mire shed as well and see, especially, you know, with that hint about ether, see maybe you have that 50% knowledge of whether or not you might need to actually go into Swamp Palace for that ether medallion.
And given that we have this knowledge, although Rebus does not yet know what the green pendant is, but I would definitely want to go for a map check as soon as I enter the Dark World here, just to know exactly what I'm dealing with.
Yep, and it looks like Illis is going to go to the mire area. And the only reason I personally don't like the actual play to Dark Death Mountain is you're kind of isolating. Okay, so Red Pendant, Ice Palace, Red Crystals on Skullwoods, Thieves Town, but we need both Turtle Rock and Mire.
Did you see that?
Yes, I saw the ether. So we have to go into a pendant swamp.
We already know August is required. Of course, you would rather have this knowledge at this point than just aimlessly look for ether and eventually stumble upon it on Sahasrahla, but it's definitely an inconvenience.
Oh, and we got one of the interesting, unique items out of the pool. We found the single arrow in the Hookshot Cave, so if we find any hints about a unique item, it's not going to be the single arrow.
Otherwise, it looks like Dark Death Mountain has been a bust. I don't know if Rebus checked the Turtle Rock medallion. That might be a blunder on his part.
I believe he did. It was really quick though, and I missed it. And I tried to go back to. Okay, looks like chat is saying Quake.
Alright, cool. So vanilla medallions this season.
Yes. And we already have Quake, so as far as medallions, we don't care about the bombos except if it's required, because technically it could be for a Pendant Ice Palace if the mirror's behind Ice Palace potential.
I like the way you think.
See, I know I was kind of saying it earlier, and then kind of like, hey, look, we found Ether, so we need Swamp Palace. I do like to play slightly to Dark Death Mountain, mostly to check the medallion requirements since you had that hint, but at the same time, you are isolating the Fire Rod at the same time. You may have to climb up here for strictly just the Fire Rod.
It isn't necessarily true, because at the same time that when you can collect Fire Rod, you can also enter the Tower of Hera, because the mirror gives you that ability at that point.
Yeah, it would depend on item layout, but yes.
And of course, if Tower of Hera is fire locked, definitely a possibility, then you might have to do the two things at the same time.
Yeah, see how it works. Looks like Rebus, Virtual Cat both into the Dark World main areas, into the Village of Outcast, and we're getting some divergence right here. Rebus is going to go check Skull Woods, and looks like Virtual Cat is going to go into the Village of Outcast itself.
I must say that I like Virtual Cat's play here a little bit better. Of course, Skullwoods could be a big curveball. It could have the mirror, in which case you couldn't get the Fire Rod without dipping it. But otherwise, it's very unlikely that Skullwoods at this point has anything. You'll have to come back later anyway to clear it, and you know exactly where the Fire Rod is.
It's kind of one of those, I don't know if I want to say habit or not, but you know, some of the older runners from like versions 28, when Skullwoods was stacked, basically, there's almost always a unique item in Skullwoods, it felt like. So it's like you skip Skullwoods at your own peril, and chances aren't as great as it used to be, but it's still that whole idea. It's like you check it all the time, and then the one time you decide to skip it, that's when there's a major item that's available right away.
I remember those times, and I cannot say I was fond of them. In the meantime, Virtua Cat picking up the Thieves Town big key in the very first chest. Of course, it has to be in the front four.
I know, we've got both items.
Oh, what was the second one?
First item, the second item was a heart container. We actually found the 10 arrows in the chest to the right of that entrance here.
Right. In the meantime, we had Lamp in the second chest of Thieves Town, so there's our fire.
Yes, we have the fire now.
But we've seen both items out of Desert Palace, so there's no point going back now.
We have access to the mirror.
So that is actually one of the big merits of the Skullwoods play, is that coming out, you are going to be immediately checking that. So good on him. He can go back to the Fire Rod, clear the rest of Skullwoods, and maybe afterwards finish Thieves Town. You don't have to go down to Village of Outcast right now with that.
Yeah, so as far as Thieves Town, the only weapon that we have for blind at the moment is actually Cane of Samaria. We don't actually have any other weapons that will affect him. No sword, no hammer.
Samaria blind isn't that bad. The block hits him, so you just place it and dodge. It's actually a fairly relaxing fight, if I had to describe it. We only need 1.5 bar of magic to do it as well. Looks like Pyramid Ferry is not going to be opened up today.
Nope, not today. Just some cash and some more cash.
It is actually Ganon's treasury. You know, chat pointing out my stupidity here, of course. Yeah, we don't actually have a weapon that hurts Moldom, though. So, Terrafera, not yet a good play. That was an interesting fake flipper. Never seen that.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was some tech that got recently found out. Basically, you kind of jump when you take the bomb hit, it pushes you into that one, you know, that pixel, and you just have to hold down. And it's how you fake flipper and kind of can avoid Ega to get to the pod area. We found bombos.
Of course, that isn't particularly useful yet because we cannot activate it, so no ice palace off the back of that, but it's Pendant, so it's not likely that we have to clear that anyway.
Ooh, so Rebus with the sequence break to Catfish gets our first sword.
And you're absolutely right, it is indeed a sequence break. There's no way for us other than the bomb jump or, of course, water walking set off from Skull Woods to get there.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that there's a sword available elsewhere, and technically you can kill Ega for access over there.
It's looking very likely because, yeah, you have the cape, you have the lamp, you just need a sword from anywhere else, and there's 4 in the pool, so stands to reason it's actually available.
Let's say Virtual Cat's about to drop blind off, and I'm guessing is probably hoping for some magic. Because it does not have the magic to fight blind right now.
There is one part upstairs where you press the switch to open up the corridor with the lizards, and there's one part in the basement on the left side, and that should have been enough. Oh,
or we can just get a full magic. That should be enough magic, I think.
I don't know. I think it's kind of fishy at this point. Although with that, you can actually activate the cape as well, which is holdable.
Yeah, in case you get into a tight spot or something.
It is worth noting that the way that Randomizer distributes item pack drops, there is guaranteed to be something somewhere in the game that drops full magic, it's just you might not know what it is.
You know, and Chet will have to help me out because I was not counting my items very well in Thieves Town. I do see that Virtual Cat has a key. Rebus gets his fire rod. Are we still looking for an item currently?
So, Verts did not have the map. I think it's a 50-50. And I think there is an item in the Thieves Town big chest at this point.
Yeah, I think there is. It really depends if we saw the compass anywhere.
I did see it in Verts' menu.
Okay, so yeah, then we are looking for an item. Got a check on the tablet up by Hera. We've got a bottle, a fairy in a bottle.
If you feel like you're in a tight spot, you might actually collect that before entering Ganon's Tower. I can see that play. It's very close, it's a fairy.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long to check. I guess we'll see, because it's, you know, we're already at 11 hearts and blue mail at the very least, so maybe some other runners might do that. Oh, and Rebus with some more information. So a sword is within logic then, technically. So it could be that Ega could be the access over to the East Dark World.
I am very interested to see if everyone knows a way to get over there, or someone will be forced into Ega if that is the case.
And we've still got a couple checks, so it's not to that point exactly, but if it is, that sequence break can pay off huge for those who can do it, whether it's the bomb jump or it's the water walk.
Or if the bugnet turns up, you could even do a fairy revival.
Yep, that as well. And oh, unfortunately, Verts was the last hit on blind, but took the death.
Now he's going to have to farm for magic as well. Just big 20 and Hera big chest, so I think Tarot of Hera's from... Other than the hint, of Hera is actually kind of empty.
Yep, we've already found both items and neither one of them were any useful, so... And that was a very nice Mario blind fight from Illis.
Rebus almost going down the middle hole there.
Yeah, that was close. Trollern being very aggressive, and it's like, nope, you're going down. Hype Cave, I saw a bottle with fairy.
Verts is still looking for that magic pickup for blind. Looks like he's giving up, unfortunately. Although, it might not be that bad if the runners have to come back for the big chest anyway.
Yeah, it might even push him to check that chest as well.
And you know, at this point we're still missing the ice rod, which could definitely be in there. Or the flippers, which we know are required.
Well, thankfully, we've already found both of the items in Hera. We don't need to take a trip to the basement. Is Virtual Cat sequence breaking into ice? Or is he checking Zora?
No, I think this is Hobo if... no, okay. Yeah, he is checking Zora.
Okay.
No, this is...
Oh wait, he doesn't have a sword, so he wouldn't be able to...
Hobo. Yeah, he cannot enter past the first tour of Ice Valley. Because I'm fairly confident that everyone has been to the Zora area, so this basically could only have been Hobo. Looks like Rebus is headed to finish off the Moth with a fighter sword and a fire rod. That is ambitious.
I think Rebus might also be thinking of one thing. He does have mirror and book. He could give us a pedestal check when he is finished to let us know if anything's there, because he already knows he's going to have to clear swamp.
The only reason I kind of disagree with this play is because you have the mirror. You could pick up the smith. Delivering the purple chest isn't that slow with the flute in hand. So why not just give yourself that sword advantage if you already know where it is?
Guess the only thing I could think of was potentially routing, because he hasn't checked Hype Cave, Thieves Town, anything like that. It kind of would be out of his way to go that way and then come all the way back. If you're confident enough to do, you know, especially if you do inverted, something like a fighter sword on Mothula, especially when you have, you know, not at 11 hearts of health at this point, but I believe he also has a red potion. He gets a nice magic refill as well.
That was clutch. That's going to make it so much easier. So for those who don't know, with the fighter sword you either need to deliver 8 successful spins or 16 successful slashes. Because of course the spins do master sword damage. The fire rod also does master sword damage if Mothula's damage isn't cancelled by hitting him into a spike. So getting magic there is extremely clutch.
Takes the moth down.
But of course we have found both of the items here, so compass is about what we expected. In the meantime, Illis is delivering the purple chest, and he's going to be getting his first sword from this, so I'm very interested to see if this leads him to Aghanim or to sequence breaking Aghanim.
Yep, and we are going to get a pet check, it looks like, from Rebus.
Your hypes in chat. And it's a shield upgrade. Oh well.
Yep. I don't think we're seeing the pet today.
Unless you're desperate for that mirror shield. And just a little piece of lava on the Bumbo's tablet, so that's also not important.
I mean, I will say I like having the mirror shield for, you know, Laser Bridge, but not to go run Pendant dungeons.
I mean, if I were to be honest, I am bad enough to at laser skips that it might be worth it for me, but you know.
Ooh, and we get the bow.
Very nice find. The Rebus is definitely following the little breadcrumbs of the seed very well.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, at this point, already found both the items in desert, but he's gonna clear it while he's here.
Absolutely a good choice. And you know, after this, he is kind of running out of really good options as far as I can tell. What do you think of a play expecting a vanilla or French vanilla hammer?
Well, right now, they technically don't even have access, logically, to Pod. I mean, I guess they could go kill Ega, so it's very possible that's the case. Eastern still does actually have an item as well, and now with the bow, that's completely killable.
I mean, in terms of logic, they do. Like, they don't need any additional items, they just need to kill Ega, but that, of course, can be considered in logic.
Yeah, technically it would be within logic, just, you know, you might be able to save yourself the 6-7 minutes, depending on how Ega wants to treat you with the blue balls.
Absolutely. So now with the newfound sword, Illis is heading up to Tower of Hera, going to find his fairy in a bottle hint or not hint, just, you know, the text that it is there on Bumbo's tablet, and he's going to head in and up to kill the Hold on.
The hint that Illis already knows.
For him, that is a thank seed moment. For Bravest, that was actually nice. And I think he is about to go collect on it as well.
Yeah, I think he'll hop into Thieves Town and probably finish that up first and just kind of route like you typically would. Since Master Sword is not going to really give you any kind of an edge in Thieves Town itself.
So one thing to consider at this point, and I might be wrong on the total exact locations that we have seen so far, but I think that with that sword find, the only thing that they have available to them and we don't know about at this point would be Ice Palace and, of course, Palace Darkness through Aghanim.
So with the bow, technically with the knowledge that we have on Rebus, because that's pretty much all the knowledge as far as progression, he's furthest along on our 4 racers when it comes to progression at the moment, with the exception of Bombos. Technically Ice Palace is available right now. It would be a sequence break and not all of the dungeon would actually be accessible because there are a couple items, potentially all the items I believe even, could be locked behind the hammer technically. But there is also the one item that's sitting in Eastern Palace with the bow. We can kill Armos Knights now. And then, yeah, logically, it would be the Palace of Darkness area and the Pyramid, but you either need to kind of, not necessarily sequence break at this point, but form a minor glitch to be able to get there without killing Aga, or you have to kill Aga.
Yep. I did totally forget about the item in the Maidstone Palace. That is a good point.
But yeah, chat bringing up a kind of an important thing. It's, you know, it potentially could be looking like they had logical access to clear 4 crystal dungeons, and they may still actually have to do, technically, logically, Aga.
Also, chat pointing out Flipper's missing for ice, so yeah, of course, you aren't even expected to be able to enter. You could sequence break it, it only takes a minor glitch, but absolutely, it's looking a lot like that Aghanim that we were talking about.
Yeah, and I wonder if any of our runners will actually gamble on a sequence break to Ice Palace, because there is a possibility you do find the hammer in Ice Palace, and then you skip Aga.
It is so bad because, as you mentioned, you have a grand total of 3 chests that are definitely accessible in Ice Palace, and the 4th one if you find the big key. So it's half a dungeon, and yeah, there definitely could be a scenario where the items don't turn up at all prior to hammerlock locations. And there's, of course, the matter of key layout. I believe that unlocks a 5th.
Yeah. Yes, Drosy, we actually had a ped check. It is a shield. So Ella's virtual cat ball with that mirrors, because like, I need to go get the fire rod.
I think absolutely the moment you picked up that mirror, that you knew that the first thing that you would do right after a save and quit was go there. Ella's doing the same thing. Of course, he does have a sword and has cleared Tower of Terror right here, so Virtual Cat, not that good for him here. But he could go into Hera, he could get that sword hint and then go for the sword.
And I mean, realistically, at that point, there wasn't anything in Hera, so we might see him just go through the tower to see if he can get all the items, with the exception of Troll Dorm, because realistically, you know, you can always just hop in at the very end and then mirror right after you clear Hera to go to Ganon.
Yep, leaving just Moldom in there is definitely a thing that isn't painful at all.
Yep, and Ella's setting up, or trying to set up. We'll see if he was successful with the water walk.
He can check by holding out his sword and walking down this ladder. He was moving at normal speed here, so he definitely has it armed. He has to take care not to jump down a cliff ahead of time. That was close, he almost disarmed it, but...
Yep, it's like almost jumped off the wrong way. Yeah, we got a hit for Fat Fairy. The reason why it would be an Aga seed at this point, from what we know, unless we're missing a location, the only location within logic without killing Aga at this point is the Armos Knights. So they have one item, and it would have to be either Flippers or Hammer, or it is going to require us to kill Aga for access to the pod area, which at this point pretty much has to have some kind of progression for us.
Yep, and if you're going to go for that one item that's left in Eastern Palace, you might as well do it going from the Dark World with the mirror, so that if you have to go into Palace of Darkness, then you will do so. Now, interesting to note, Illis does not in fact have the bow from Checkerboard Cave according to the tracker here. So this is potentially a dead end for him.
Yeah, no, he has not checked Checkerboard Cave yet.
And this is the kind of like bad curveball that the seed can just give you here, because yeah, it's sort of an out of the way bow at this point. You were forced into an early desert. I have no idea what was on the pyramid. That was very fast.
Yeah, that was an extremely fast check. I missed. I saw the item, but I did not even understand what it was.
And so, given that he does not have that bow, this again just could be a trip that has to be repeated, and it's not a short trip, because you know, if that bottom left chest in Palace of Darkness does not have a bow, does not have a small key, then the dungeon is logically bow locked. You can sequence break out of it with the potion camera or not, but I don't know if he has a potion at this point.
Yes, I believe they all have a red potion. I don't think I've seen any of the runners actually use that red potion they got. Which we will find out shortly if this is bow locked or not.
I mean, to be honest, I fully expect it to be.
Nope.
It is not yet.
Oh yeah, it will more than likely it'll be some kind of bow lock, because we need the bow to even get to Helmasaur, so.
Of course, but there could be another potential bow lock here, is if you don't have enough small key slots to get to the back.
That
and
well.
get the vanilla big key chest. So for that to happen, the vanilla big key chest has to be not a key, and the pit has to be not a key. And for that reason, it may be more beneficial to usually go to the back first.
There's one key.
It looks like the left side of the pod is all open. No bow required, and there's the flippers as well.
So then, that means Armos would have to have the hammer and only the hammer, or this was an Ega seed.
Setting up the camera or not, just walk along this wall to the left while drinking a potion.
And Chad pointing out we only need the hammer for Swamp Palace. We actually only need the hammer for no mode at this point.
Exactly. We have, well, no, what about Ice Rod?
Oh, that's right, Ice Rod. Silly Ice Rod. Nobody likes it.
We still have the biggest troll of the seed. Chat also pointing out very rightly, hammer locks the entirety of Turtle Rock. It's perfectly possible that Ice Rod is just in there.
Yeah, it's not like we've never seen an Ice Rod in Turtle Rock before.
Illis going for the hammer jump right away, without checking the other routes first. Perfectly good play if you have an extra small key. Gets it first try. Nice start offering. You know, there's one more place the hammer could be at this point. It's that one chest in Swamp Palace, and interestingly enough, it's not even that bad because you technically don't really have any locations left there or close to you.
Yeah, I mean, if flippers are the only progression item in pod and Armos doesn't have anything, flippers really didn't open that much up. Opened up. Oh, never mind. There's the hammer. So, yep, it was an Agassi.
Nice. Okay, so I am very interested to see if Virtuous and Verts comes to the same conclusion that they have to walk over, or will they end up doing Ganon for this?
JR Racing Fan, Bo is in Checkerboard Cave.
So, unfortunately for Illis, this is a double-deck pod that didn't have to be. On the other hand, getting back to pod now, not that painful because you do have the hammer.
And I think even, you know, with the double dip of pod, it's not going to waste too much time because nobody's going to be in go mode going into pod. That's where our progression is, we know at this point. So everybody's going to have to full clear it anyways. It's just whether or not you have the bow. You can check the bow lock side and then go to Helmasaur while you're there. So it's probably not too much of a time loss. Virtual Cat getting grabbed by the Wallmaster.
You know what could be a big time loss? Left side of Swamp Palace looking for the bow.
That could be a big time loss.
You do know you have to do Swamp Palace, so this isn't technically bad. The big question is whether or not Illis goes back to that left side and whether or not it actually contains anything. Here's a not too often seen thing in this mode. Raiders going for the Dev Cave hint, and it says the boots are in the castle.
And if you were looking on Illis's side, that was the same hint that Illis got. Somebody clip that.
Well, that just happened.
Not only did we get the hint for the boots on one side, we got a hint from the boots from another player at a completely different location.
At the very same time.
Yes, at the very same time the hints were on the screen. This game wants to make very sure that you found the boots that you walked by at about 3 minutes into the game.
You were pretty much forced to open at gunpoint because, honestly, like, why would you skip that chest?
Because you have something against Zelda's chest? That would be the only thing I could think of. Virtuous Cat having a little bit of difficulties with Mothula.
And I absolutely don't blame him for it. Fighting Soul Mothula is not a kind fight.
You know, and moths seem to have kind of been sticking to the corners as well.
Now, the thing about this is that I also see my players insist on doing this now. Actually 3 of them at this point are doing Mothula fairly early, but they have found both the items in Skullwoods. You don't have to do this. Is it because of the oh, it's a 5/6. So maybe that's why.
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure if Virtual Cat's found the hint or not yet for the Pyramid Fairy being a complete bust.
Virtuous Cat seems to be skipping the pet check as well, unless he already did it before entering the fight.
I don't believe he did.
Either way, it does not look like at this point that you would have strict access to Pyramid Fairy. Of course, you could put 1 and 1 together and say, alright, well, I might have to do that for Aga. But you can't, can you? You need the hammer to get the big bomb to the pyramid fairy, don't you?
Yes. Unless you can do it with just Ega. That's why if hammer is inside of the pyramid, Ega is required no matter what, because then you can use the teleporters.
Oh right, yeah, the darker portal at Ega. Yeah, makes sense. So he could know that it's logically open if he can get both the 5/6s, which he does have. And if he doesn't know the hint, then it makes perfect sense that you would do both of them, of course.
You know, chat bringing up a good point. You know, the play inside of Swamp looking for the bow is not going to pay off with the bow, but that green pendant's going to pay off with Ether, and he does have that information, and that's going to lead him to Checkerboard Cave where the bow is.
Well, that's nice, a good point. Yeah, very nice fire rod. Multi-hit. You have to be hitting him very fast there, because otherwise he jumps up and down again, and that slows it down, so very nice kill. You're absolutely right. Ether will lead him to the mire area and, of course, potentially to the bow. With Bravest now picking up the hammer, or 20 seconds ago, either way, he should be the first person to make it to Helmasaur King.
Yes, he should. I'm kind of wondering what Alice is doing right now. Oh, he hasn't done Skullwoods, okay.
I'm not sure why, unless he hasn't done the chests in the front, but he did set up Water Walk here, so he must have done the chests. So once more, he is going for the 5/6.
I think he potentially might be thinking about the Ice Rod, because if you look at the inventory, he knows it can't be the bow. He knows where Ether is at the moment. But if this would say, like, Ice Rod, then he's just looking for the bow at that point. Plus, he needs to do this anyway. And he does have a Master Sword, so it's not going to be nearly as difficult as a fight compared to the other 3 racers that we're featuring today.
Yeah, this is definitely a thing that you need to do, so it's a nice way to gather some time for yourself to think about what you want to do next. Verts is the second person to pick up that bow, and he does have the items for Aghanim, so I really do wonder about this. It might be possible that he goes to almost Knights with it. He's thinking about it, I can see it.
I don't know, I would almost think, like, at this point, if all you have are almost Knights or Aga, and you can do some kind of sequence break to skip Aga, that you're going to do that.
Looks like he's doing Lambo for now.
Yeah, maybe thinking about what he needs to do, so just do something that he's forced to do. He has to go kill a boss. Found both items.
Makes perfect sense.
And I think Virtual Cat's about to go get their bow. And while Alice does take down Mothula, so all 4 runners have taken him down now, and yep, we're going to get a pet check on Illis' side now. He's going to see that shield. And meanwhile, Bravest starts his fight against King Helmasaur.
It is interesting how I think that just the moment that we had that Darkhold access, it didn't seem like there could be huge divergence in routing. It just seems like, okay, you enter the Village Outcast and do the usual things. And yet, our racers are all over the place in terms of placements.
Yeah, they are. But Illus gets the Ether Medallion, Rebus takes on King Helmasaur, gets the red mail.
Very nice prize.
Yep, and Illus is making his way right to Misery Mire.
Rebus with the hammer in hand. I expect him to go directly to Swamp to get his Ether Medallion.
Yeah, same. I think that's kind of the main thing he's thinking about, because other than that, you could do what? You could run Turtle Rock or Ice Palace. But Turtle Rock, you're looking for an Ice Rod, so nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, nothing is particularly appealing, and you do know that you have to do this right now, and you can do it all the way. Now, interestingly, Illus is entering Misery Mire before checking that Checkerboard cave, which means he will have no bow, and if the silvers are in here, it might actually be a significant time loss just not to have silvers plus bow for Vitreous.
Yeah, Vitreous with silver arrows, the fight is very, very easy fight. And I think once Illus is actually done here, we're going to just see him dip in a Desert Palace and finish off the Land Molus as well. Looks like Verts is going to be making the play to egg a tower.
He probably doesn't know about the fairly new Fake Flipper setup and is uncomfortable setting up water walking. It's perfectly fine. He is going to have to spend a little bit more time getting to the pod area with this though than the other races so far. Checkhat's going to show us something that I do not believe we have seen so far, and that is what item is on Almost Nights. If this is Ice Rod, it could be potentially huge.
Yeah, it could be. The other, kind of, I would say a bad place for the runners that the Ice Rod could be is Thieves Town.
Oh yeah, you really don't want to go back to that chest, and in fact, I expect if it's there, then pretty much all of the runners are going to opt to gamble. But is it really a gamble at that point? Turtle Rock Ice Rod first, and then go there if it's not.
Oh, I know myself, I would gamble on it being in Turtle Rock before dipping Thieves Town for one shot.
Absolutely. It only makes sense. It's like 5 items still in Turtle Rock, so chances are, when you are down to a few bad locations, and by the way, Almost Night's only 50 rupees, so that's not the Ice Rod solution.
Nope, it is not. We needed it. Well, there's the Ice Rod in Misery Mire.
It looks like it won't be a hunt, and with that, we should be in no mode.
Yeah, actually, depending on how long it takes Rebus to actually get to Misery Mire and find that, Illus could very well be our first runner in Go mode. Because if he checks Checkerboard right after this, he'll probably go to Desert first. But Rebus and Illus are probably going to be in Go mode around the same time.
They are essentially head-to-head here. Of course, right now Illus is down a crystal, he's about to be up a crystal. But otherwise, they have done pretty much the same things. So yeah, absolutely should be a close race between.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We just have to. The main thing is Illus cannot skip Checkerboard Cave. Because, we'll finish probably Desert next before checking Checkerboard, I would imagine. But at that point, just like, you cannot leave. So if he leaves, it might be a while before coming back for Checkerboard Cave.
I mean, the thing to consider is, what do you really have left other than Checkerboard Cave? You have Ice Palace, and you don't really want to do Ice Palace without checking that one fairly quick to access location.
Yes. Alright, Illus starting his Vitreous fight, though.
What am I even saying? Illus has the entirety of Turtle Rock, he can complete it. Illus gets that odd Vitreous lightning sniper. Of course, he has a fairy in the inventory, so it's totally fine.
Yep, he already checked, so...
It always feels so bad when that happens, so like, why are you firing off to this site specifically right now?
Trying to kind of get Vitreous into the corner with the hammer, but he's not playing nice. Rebus takes down Argus, gets the green pendant, and Illus takes down Vitreous.
Illus has equipped the mire. We know that it is 100% going to go to at least Lammolas. Just please don't forget about Checkerboard Cave.
And Verts takes down Aga. Virtual Cat is working on Tower of Hera. Yep, we are going to get the kill on Lammolas first.
Verts and Virtual Cat at this point definitely have a lot of catching up to do. But they might. No, what am I thinking? They're probably in their own race at this point, unfortunately. Illus and Rebus dungeons ahead of them. But they definitely have the potential to be bringing it in very close to each other. If Virtual Cat doesn't do Aghanim and instead does a minor glitch to skip that.
Yeah, definitely. Dressy, we knew there was a hint that Ether was on Green Pendant. If I'm not mistaken, that hit was our hint in Desert Palace.
I think so. The one in Eastern Palace was a joke hint, so by virtue of that, it pretty much had to be Desert Palace.
Jeez, these Lammolas are with a lot of short hops.
Not playing nice today. Trying to boost his damage output with a few hammer hits, but Rando and hammer doesn't mix too well. Sometimes you may be forced into it, but it's never a pleasant experience.
No, it is not. And Virtual Cat trying to pretty much check everything that he's left behind. It's like hoping, please don't make me do Aga.
I don't know, he is about to re-enter the Dark World near School Woods. This could very well be a woodwalk setup.
Yeah, it could be. Alright, Illus finishes off Lammolas. Let's see. He's using his portal, so I'm guessing this is going to be the Checkerboard Cave. So he is going to be our first one in go mode.
With Rebus right behind. There it is, at 1 hour, 18 minutes and 30 seconds. Illus is the first person to enter go mode.
See, I think Virtual Cat is setting up... Yep, looks like he is setting up the water. No, or he just dashed right in the hole.
For the record, you're not supposed to fall. It is not part of the setup.
Uh-oh. Do you see what Rebus is doing?
He is going directly to Vitreous, skipping the Ice Rod. Uh-oh.
So hopefully... So what I think happened is he did find one of the items. So he's doing, you know, and you see this a little bit where if you find one item in the big key, you kind of gamble that Vitreous has the other item. Because if he does, you save time. And then if he doesn't, you don't. But, so we're hoping that rebus decides to go back in for the last item.
And just to, you know, put a little bit of perspective on that, at that point you're coming out of Misery Mire. It's a fairly long dip. You have to go back and check about... I think he has 3 chests open, other than Vitreous, for 1 item. You have similar isolated locations right now in Thieves and Eastern Palace, and you have Turtle Rock with a potential of 5 items. So where are you going to look for Ice Rod?
Yeah, I completely agree. And Verts has his hammer now, as well as the flippers from Pod, and Virtual Cat tried to set up the water walking. He didn't test in the little lake like you can to see if it worked or not, and unfortunately it did not.
So if you arm this water walk correctly, then there's 2 things that you cannot absolutely cannot do while carrying it to the intended destination. That one is walk near a hole. So you have to steer very clear of any holes, or it will disarm it, and you cannot jump off the ledge. There he goes. He bonks. He is bonking again. See, I think he's pretty much losing it there every time before he even makes it out of scoreboards. He just walks too close to the hole, so you have to be very much clear of it.
Alright, let's see if rebus goes back in. Oh, he is mirroring away. Oh no.
Oh no. Well, at this point in time, I believe rebus is looking at a very, very, very painful double dip into Turtle Rock.
Yep, he's going straight forward, just kind of hoping and praying that the Ice Rod is inside Turtle Rock, and sadly we know that's not working.
Just to, again, put his thinking into perspective, this is absolutely the correct play if you decide to skip 1 item in Misery Mire and go straight to Vitreous. Absolutely the correct play.
Yeah, I definitely agree it's the correct play. It's just, I guess, in my mind it's hard, especially when you're looking for something like the Ice Rod. It's just like, it's hard to just leave any items behind. It's like, if I go into a dungeon, I'm clearing it out if I'm looking for an item.
It's absolutely a risky gamble that you would take here. Yeah, I cannot help it but feel bad about it. Unfortunately, this is going to be an extra at least 4 minutes. In the meantime, after beating Helmasaur King, Illus is headed for the very same dungeon, except armed with the Ice Rod.
So Illus is going to be heading to his final crystal dungeon. Once he clears this out, it's going to be right over to Ganon's tower.
I think Cat finally has the water walk set up. I think he circled around the hole appropriately there. He does not check using the stairs, so we won't know until he jumps down into the water.
We're not sure. Literally, Jen, yes, Illus did finish bottom. And yes, he did skip Ice Rod, sadly.
Yep, Rebus opted to, after seeing 1 item and the big key, head straight to Vitreous. Perfectly reasonable play. It's going to get punished this time around, though.
Yeah, it's just kind of the nature of randos. Sometimes the best play is not always the correct one.
But at this point, Rebus has been in Turtle Rock for about a minute or so when Illus is just entering. So that's the kind of lead he had, and if he opts to just check those few chests, I still believe he would have walked away with a 30-second lead over Illus. And I don't think he actually had a reason to feel behind either. He was pretty much spot on with getting the items to succeed.
Verts kills King Helmasaur with his last arrow.
In the meantime, unfortunately, Virtua Cat is spending over twice the amount of time it takes to kill Aga 1 on trying to set up this water wall. And yes, that is the issue, chat. If Virtua Cat walks even remotely close to the hole where he's in a position that the hole would start to move you, then it will immediately disarm your water walk setup. So right there, he walked all the way around it very close, so it will be that one might have been okay.
Guess we'll find out. We'll see if he actually tests it. Nope, he's just gonna run right on by.
You might not know about it, the way that you can test it.
And I wonder if this is more, if Virtual Cat's just not used to doing the water walking, and this is more, he knows that Aga 1 is required and he's just taking this too. You know, this is something that I should learn. Hey, look, he got. This is something that I need to learn because there are situations like this where it would save me a lot of time if I can do this water walking glitch. So I'm just gonna, you know, learn it kind of on the fly.
I mean, to be absolutely fair, setting up a water walk on the overvolt is something that is so seldom useful that it's like absolutely something that you might not know, even though you have like done 100 or 200 races, because it never came up as a thing that you need to do. And it's so simple to set it up in the undervolt, right? So absolutely, this is something that you may have to learn in the race.
Yeah, because this is kind of one of those situations where, you know, if you're racing against somebody who can do the water walking glitch or even just the bomb jump at this point, and you can't do either one of those to skip Aga, that you're immediately at a huge disadvantage.
It may be one of those things that becomes like I should phrase it differently. There is new tech, fairly new tech, in Ganon's Tower where you can actually do mimic skips without the boat, so you don't even need to boat to get upstairs. That's a similarly niche thing, and this is one of those things, right? It's just something that comes up once a version, and you have to be prepared for that situation if you want to really compete in every situation with the top runners.
Yeah, especially like the bow, you know, skipping mimics in Ganon's Tower, just because, you know, that's assuming immediately that Eastern Palace and Pot are both pendants, just right off the jump.
Yep, and then there's so many item locations that you check prior to getting there, so it's very likely that you would just happen up on the bow anyway.
Yes. We have our Uncle Bombs on Laser Bridge, but yeah, sadly for Rebus, he's going to check these chests, find no Ice Rod.
Yep, this is the point where reality is about to kick in. You should know that that last chest is a small key. He has to collect it, but he should still know. And now, there's a big problem. Where do you go first?
Yeah, I definitely don't see it being Misery Mire at this point. You gamble that it's not there.
I agree. I think I would probably start with Almost Knights. I think he's actually going to Spike Cave here. And this is a very... No, it's not that good of a choice, and here's why. He's about to lose that portal that he put on Laser Bridge. If he starts with Almost Knights and the Ice Rod is there, he can still go back and collect the portal. But this way, he definitely 100% would have to go all the way back through Turtle Rock. That's saying he won't lose the portal if he death warps. Is that so? I did not know that was an actual mechanic, that you don't lose it if you already have entered the Dark World. That's nice to know.
Yep, and that's probably why he dropped his fairy, and sadly gets a piece of heart that fills up his entire health bar.
Always a horrible feeling when you're about to death warp.
And Trennick's holding a mushroom, but more importantly, we get crystal number 7. And I'm pretty sure on Speed Gaming, when we're doing some Link to the Past randomizer, unless it's Key Sanity, we typically play a game at this point.
Yes, we do. So there are 22 different chests where the Ganon Sour Big Key could be located. Get your guesses in chat. We will give you absolutely nothing for winning this, but regardless, it's a fun game that you can play with us, where we will find the Ganon Sour Big. What's your guess?
I'm going to go ahead and guess number 13.
Alright.
What about yours?
I think from my side, I would like to see a fitting end to this seed with a torch big key. Just, you know, nicely wrap it around. Pretty much one of the first items you get is the boots, and one of the last things you require it for is the Ganon Sour Big Key.
We've got Tempered Sword and Butter Sword.
Wow. The Sword Room. Chests number 1 and 2, progressive swords.
I mean, I guess they call that, isn't that supposed to be called the Hope Room or something of that nature?
I, to this day, do not know if Hope Room is that one or the one all the way on the right.
And we get half magic on the torch.
Just convenience items everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, sadly Bob had to give his life up for half magic.
Absolutely worth it, if you ask me.
I'm kind of with Chad. I was half expecting silver arrows to be in that chest, but that would be number 5. 4 and 5, we got a couple small keys. 6, we have 3 bombs, and then we get the bug net.
In chest number 7. Now, you know, if it was in the lower right chest, I could have still justified it saying, well, you were supposed to go right to left. Sanctuary Heart, though. We are halfway through the left side and no sight of that big key yet, but we have found 4 of the best convenience items in the entire game. It is going for some boomerang swag strats. Gets it a couple of tries. And the Thieves Sound Big Chest, meanwhile, on Rebus' screen, we find 10 arrows.
Number 9 is another small key.
That has been 3 so far. Out of the total of 4 chest small keys that you can find in Ganon Sour.
So we get 9, 10, 11, 12, no, 10 through 13.
Yep.
I lost count. So here's mine, and I just get bombs. Rebus is gonna dive Ice Palace, looking for Ice Rod.
Oh no. I completely forgot it existed, I'll be honest, but it's, again, a completely reasonable play. It has 3 items.
A compass and the best boomerang is locked in Misery Mire.
You just kind of wish that that was a hint about the right side of Misery Mire, not the left side.
Yeah, this game's just like, here's a hint to Misery Mire, here's what's in it, you don't have to check, just go check everything else. Bob's chest, we have nothing.
That was chest number 14.
Yes. want to get vanilla big key chest at chest number 15. 300 rupees, 16 is the compass, 17 is the cane of Burna.
Looks like it's somewhere on the right side, so it could be one of the 4 chests in the right side room or tell.
And I think this is at the point where chat is just crossing their fingers. We've seen this many chests, just let it be tile room, please.
From our perspective, looking at it, Tower Room is not that big of a deal, right? Because Illis is miles ahead. From his perspective, might not feel the same way.
There it is.
It's number 19.
Yes, 19.
I see an exact 19 guess from EMJ13 in the chat. Congratulations, you have won nothing, along with the chain nerd.
I was gonna say we could give him a year-free supply of randomizer seats.
I think that's someone else's territory. I'm gonna have to ask Jet's Refi if I am allowed to hand that out.
I know somebody else does say that. I've cited it myself a couple times too. Yeah, we are getting the left side swamp check on verts. We know sadly nothing over there is of any import. But we do know the green pendant at the very beginning, or at the very end of the dungeon, as well as all the racers that check the hint in Desert Palace know that it's an ether medallion.
Oh, it's worth noting that, from Verts' perspective, if you're ever going to check the left side of the swamp, this is the correct time to do so. Just before going to the back. It does save some time over going to the back first and then doing these.
Yep, not yet. We have not seen silvers.
It is looking very likely that it's in one of the upper 4 chests of Ganon's Tower, because, to be honest, what else have we not seen? Maybe some of Ice Palace.
I think, did Illis? I'm pretty sure once he found Bakey, he didn't check the other 2 chests, did he?
Oh yeah, he did leave the room without checking them, so it could absolutely be in the 3 chests remaining in the bottom.
Thieves found big chest, somebody pointed out. Yes, that could be it. We've got the chests up top.
Oh yeah, and the big chest, the rightly forgotten one.
Yep.
Because to be honest, who likes the GT big chest? There it is in the Ice Palace!
Well, rebus is at least going to have silver arrows.
And Butter Sword and half magic.
Maybe he's probably going to hope that that was the ice rod instead, but it's silvers at the very least.
Let's be honest here, it's a really bad consolation prize at this point.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it could be worse. It could be Ice Palace has completely nothing. I mean, at least you have the silvers. But yeah, it's still a terrible prize.
He should be pretty confident at this point that he is going to be the only one with the silvers, though. Well, if he's not yet, he will be after Misery Maya. Illis does not want those silvers, just ignoring every chest.
Yeah, I think he feels completely confident. You know, half magic, especially now, has the butter sword.
And absolutely, if you're confident in your abilities to kill Ganon, this is the correct thing to do. Don't win that much time over Butter Silverless with silvers. A little bit, but might not be worth the effort to check all those chests.
And Illis does check Trolldorm's last possessions. Gets a hard container.
the 17th one at this point. One of the good ways to gauge how awful I would say seed has been to you is just check the number of heart containers, because it reflects the number of chests that you had to open to get this.
Alright, and Rebus takes down Ega 2. Off to fight Ganon. Verts gets his ether coin. And now Rebus is going to go for that last item in Eastern Palace.
Already in phase 2, implementing dash strats to deal with Ganon in this position. Very good choice. That should be double the required amount of hits.
Yes. Just add on a couple to be safe.
Absolutely. No reason not to. It's not like you have anything better to do at that point. Pulling out the lamp to go immediately for the torch glitch, very conscious of the fact that it's probably better to do the torch glitch than to get that one free hit.
And we did get the hint from Ganon, even though we knew where they were.
He's not going to be sorry about not checking any of those chests in Ganon's tower that he left there after that one.
Yeah, nice execution. Might get a triple. Yes, he did.
If done correctly, he could still get a 5 cycle here.
Yeah, I believe he can.
Misses it, unfortunately, so that's going to be a 6 cycle. Still, very nice Silver Scan fight. And there it is. Down goes Ganon for Illis, and all he has to do is cross the bridge now.
Just has to get past the stairs. And get your GGs in chat for Illis, who is going to finish first of our 4 featured runners. He is actually going to finish in 4th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 59 seconds.
GGs to him. We'll see if we can get him in here for an interview.
Yep. And while we're waiting for that, just to kind of go over it, our first place finisher was BBB Kermit. 2nd place was Bonta. 3rd place was Goomba 90. And then our 5th place finisher was Pink Kitty Rolls, and 6th place just finished it with Frostbite 3030.
Yep, and it looks like the gap between Illis and the 1st place finisher is less than 6 minutes. Very nice, tight leading pack there for the season.
Yep, and Rebus finally making the play.
It looks like we are joined by Illis. Hello there, and GG.
GG. Hello there.
So, tell us your feelings about that, see?
Yeah, that freaking hammer and flippers and pod, man.
Right, that required Aghanim for just pod access.
Yeah. If you don't know how to skip it, it's logically required, and I'm glad that I can water walk, because I haven't practiced the bomb jump, so I'm glad we had boots.
So here's an interesting tidbit for you. Rebus and you were head-to-head in Misery Mire. He had about a minute's worth of lead on you. He went to Palace of Darkness with the bow in hand, so that was basically his lead. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
guys have done the same thing. And then he opted to skip the ice rod. Just got the big key, and the one item from the left side went straight to Vitreous, and
Oh.
he's only now
Oh.
picking it up.
That's really unfortunate. Wow, I was pretty worried when I saw that bow, but apparently I finished 4th, so it wasn't too bad.
There were a few interesting things in the seed that could possibly trip you up, and you did a very good job of handling that. So, like, I'm absolutely not surprised that you have top 5 finish here.
Well, I still kind of am. Like, I felt like if you had the hint at Desert Palace telling you that Ether requires the green pendant, and if you know how to skip Aghanim, I think it's fairly straightforward from that point on. And I made some questionable routing choices, which cost me a few minutes, like when to pick up that fire rod, going to Darkdeath Mountain too early, going to Mizumaya area too early. All that stuff has cost me quite a bit of time. So my run could have been optimized in a lot of ways, but I'm pretty happy overall with how I executed it, at least. Like, not my Landmordas fight maybe, but most of my fights went pretty well.
You know, one of the interesting things about this seed is that all 4 of you were all over the place, and honestly, you say questionable routing choices. I could easily justify anything that you have done that seed. So I think you played it.
Yeah, I was in the back of my mind. It could have been Mirror and Darkdeath Mountain, so I wouldn't have put it off for too long, or the bow could have been somewhere else. So yeah, it could have worked out, but I didn't play the odds, I think. But yeah, overall I'm pretty content with how this went, so not too much complaining here.
Alright, so Linkalot, do you have any questions?
So how'd you feel about finding the 2 swords and then half magic right away going into Ganon's tower?
I felt so relieved because I forgot to buy potions. Yeah, I was kind of happy. Like, I would have taken 1 sword upgrade or just half magic, but it all came at once, and I was very relieved that I didn't have to worry about magic.
And I mean, you didn't even look for silvers in there. You did, in fact, leave 7 chests that you 6 chests that you could have easily checked. No, 5 because you opened the one after Moldon.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about silvers. Like, they'd only save time at Ganon, and chances were kind of high that I left them somewhere. Probably in Ice Palace, right? That's what Ganon told me. So I'm not too worried about my silverless Ganon. It's usually pretty good, so yeah, it worked out.
Alright. Well, I do not have any other questions prepared, so if you have anything else to talk about, feel free to.
Not right now, at least. I'll stick around and listen to you guys' commentary. I'm sure you did a pretty good job, and maybe meet the other runners as well.
Alright, so in the meantime, we have Rebus finally on with the Ice Rod, trudging through Turtle Rock. Virtua Cat headed to the back of Misery Maya, although I do not see the Ice Rod marked on his tracker, so did he also skip it?
I don't believe so. I'll have to see next time he pulls his menu up.
And we have Verts headed into Turtle Rock.
Oh, he did skip Ice Rod as well.
Oh no. Oh, Virtua Cat, why?
Hopefully Virtua Cat will go back into Mire.
I mean, I kind of, like, feel it. Like at 1 hour and 49 minutes, you kind of feel behind, especially if you like take a peek at IRC and see people finishing or have already finished. So you kind of want to make the plays to maybe carve off some time, but this has the potential to be really punishing, as we can see on Ravis's screen. He is implementing some very nice spin strats for the ice there, though, so that is absolutely health and magic economical way to get through this fight. In the meantime, Rave is making quick work of Trinex using Master Sword slashes and hammer hits.
So Ravis does, or Virtual Cat doesn't have any potions, but does have a fairy in case he does take an unfortunate lightning bolt or get hit by the eyeballs of Vitreous.
I'm actually curious if the Vitreous lightning bolt RNG is also seeded, same way that Dagon and Boobles will be. If it is, then we might see an off to the right lightning bolt hit him at some point here.
Alright, down go all the little eyeballs.
And in the meantime, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he did run out of arrows though, so gonna have to do some sword slashes.
It's gonna be a lot of sword slashes. Fortunately, Vicky is one of the tankiest bosses in the game. Meantime, down went Trinex on Ravis's screen. He is now headed into Ganon's tower. And if he does a Dark Magician route, maybe he can carve off a little bit of time by getting the right side big key after Stealth Room.
And Vert's getting all the fairies.
Always feels very satisfying when you do that one powder to hit all 4 anti-fairies at the same time.
Alright, Rebus is gonna start left side, it looks like.
Oh no, please, Bravest. Oh no, he has to go right at some point, so he will not be missing the swords. Okay, thank God.
He just won't have them for this part of Ganon's tower, unless he's doing Dark Magician strats.
Could be. Virtual Cat did not go back into Misery Mire. That means he is going on the long way around for the Ice Rod.
Yep, looks like Rebus is doing some Dark Magician strats.
It's very fortunate for him right here.
Yeah, it'll save him some time as well.
I think he was in disbelief for a moment there.
It's like, wait, did I really just see a Butters? I just picked up Temperance Sword.
Oh, so that's why I needed to sequence Ray Kaganim to get my first sword. I see.
I see what you did, Ganon.
So Ravis picks up the Ganon Savabiki in his chest number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you guessed 9 in the game earlier, then I suggest you have a talk about Ice Rod placements with Ravis after the...
Yep, I was definitely going to ask him how he felt about the Ice Rod. Considering how he treated the chest after he picked it up, he's probably not very happy with the Ice Rod, right?
I caught him throwing about 7 to 8 bombs at that chest, and I can totally understand why. Now, here's a little bit of interesting tech. I was talking about this earlier. He is actually attempting to do an unbuffered mimic skip here. See if he gets. There's a little bit of explanation to the glitch that he was attempting to do there. Seems like he didn't get it. You can actually use a similar sort of clipping as to what Link would do to clip out of bounds. Actually move the mimics out of bounds, which would push them off the screen, and since there's no enemies on the screen, the game is going to be like, well, I guess I have to open the door. So in the meantime, Verts is going to pick up his missing, I believe, vanilla small key from Laserbridge in order to get to Trinex. Virtuecan is going to make the usual Ice Rod is in Turtle Rock Gamble, which we know is going to result in a Turtle Rock Double Dip. And Rebus is making his way through.
Yeah, but I'm sure Verts is probably going to take a purposeful death here.
Well, when you're death warping, you usually want to dump those.
Yeah, sadly, the fairy said, "Hey, I'm here!"
And then he opts to not death warp, so he's netted down a fairy.
Well, thankfully, gets that nice full magic upgrade there and can turn these anti-fairies into the real fairies. And now they're actually helpful.
That used to be my favorite route through this room. I need it every time. Words made a very quick work of the Firehead of Trinex, but unfortunately the Ice Head still got the ice off, which is extremely frustrating because Link moves so slowly through the ice, and in fact it might look like he won't have enough magic to finish this. He still has one shot, but it's not enough, so he's gonna have to go back.
Trinex can be kind of a pest. No half magic, Master Sword. Rebus disrespecting Trolldorm's last possession.
So we're just going to opt to fly to the potion shop, stock up on potions, and then come back through the portal into Laserbridge. So it's not that huge of a deal. In the meantime, Rebus is making quick work of the Agatu and clones.
Down goes Agatu for Rebus. It's off to Ganon. Should be a little bit quicker. We've got silver arrows on this fight.
unfortunately not good enough to make up for leaving Ice Rod and then last locationing it. Halfway through phase 3 here. An unfortunate firebat, but should be easy to juke. And into phase 4 we go.
One silver arrow. Doesn't get torch glitch, not as important. Oh. Almost lucky he didn't get that. Ganon would give him a nice big hug.
Yeah, and if he's a little bit higher up, he would have gotten knocked off, but I think the torch saved him there.
This might be a double. Yep, gets the double. That's 4 arrows. Down goes Ganon.
All he has to do is cross the bridge without falling off. Should be an easy task. And there it is. Rebus finishes with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 1 minute and 32 seconds. GG's to him.
Yep, GG's, and he will finish this race in 15th place. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview as well.
So in the meantime, we have had quite a few finishes. Raymond in 7th place, Shiva Hayes 87 in 8th place, Dragon Strike 1988 in 9th place, Killer Rap 23 in 10th place, Cassidy Moan in 11th place, Bush in 12th place, Humbug in 13th, and the OK Guy in 14th place.
Alright, looks like we got Ravis down in the waiting room. We're going to go ahead and pull him in. Alright, we are joined by Ravis. GG.
GG.
GG, Rebus.
This is making me feel really depressed. Oh man.
Are you ready for it?
All right. Yeah, tell me.
You had a 1 minute restream lead before it.
So I was the first in Mire or what?
You would have had a 1 minute lead over Illis had you, if you had checked those chests, about a 30-second lead. Okay. Yes, you were the first one in there. I think. No, actually you weren't, but the sum of items that you had, or sum of crystals that you had, put you...
Oh, I see.
I skipped the bow for quite some time, so I was disadvantaged in that one.
Imagine if I don't, like, if Catfish doesn't have a sword, I'm gonna go to Pyramid Ledge and pot before even entering Village of Outcast. What a play that would have been.
Yep, you showed off a really nice new tech there, getting there.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I tried to do the first Mimic Room bolus, but for some reason it lagged so hard. I was pretty uncomfortable with that, and I was like, okay, whatever. Before I do a save and quit unintentionally, I'm gonna stop that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I tried it with the Thieves Down Big Chest even, and with Hammer Packs, because I thought those two are probably the less chance checked location. That's what I would call it. And then I had an insanely bad Ice Palace because I didn't look at my magic before, and then I couldn't check the freezer room. Well, shit happens.
Yes, it does. When I said the new fairly new tech, I meant the bomb assisted fake flippers getting to Catfish.
Yeah. So When I found out about the bomb jump and heard that it's 1 pixel, I looked deeper into it, and actually there are way more pixel which are working, and 3 pixel in a row which work, which means you don't technically need a really specific setup, because hitting 1 of 3 pixels is, when you know where they are all around, is a pretty good chance. So I tried out where to take the bomb, and looked like when you go around the tree, pulling the bomb and just running towards the water is the perfect timing. And yeah, you saw that twice.
It's pretty cool. So, that ice rod, you did end up being the only person that collected the silvers because of it.
Well, that's not even a consolation prize. Not when you get 2 swords in the right side GT chests. If I would have ended up on Master Sword, I would have said, okay, whatever. The seat was, ice rod, okay, but at least you get silvers. But no, getting those big swords.
Yeah, we saw you pause after getting the golden sword.
Yeah, I was like, what? Wait, what? What did I just witness? Like 2 swords? I was a bit confused. I was like, dang, I don't know honestly what to do right now. Even though I was just looking for the big key, I was so confused at that moment.
Well, I know we mentioned that you were the only one to pick up the silvers, but that seems it's probably going to change because Virtual Cat also kind of skipped out on the ice rod, and they just jumped in ice pallet.
The sword on Catfish made me really wonder if this is maybe a red bomb seed. I thought I might be quite ahead. Then I saw the hint in Hera that another sword was available with the purple chest. So I was like, so this could even more be the case because it's in logic. But I got my sword now, and maybe others have to do Smith Jam before, and I got the mirror in an ideal position.
You did end up making a lot of the right choices.
Yeah, it's always my go item.
Yeah, it's just that one item that was extremely punishing, but pretty much you would just want to kill Helmasaur King off the back of doing that fake flipper with the bow already heading to Bod. You lose that without the bow.
What really was good actually, and also the bad thing was, since I had done Catfish, I knew the second time I bomb jumped there, I can take the hint and go to Pod from the bottom. That worked out pretty well. I couldn't believe when I saw the second boots hint in there. Like, I think the hint before in Swamp or something said the boots are in the castle, and then the next hint I read is exactly the shopping mall hint, and was like, the boots are in the castle, and I was like, all right, couldn't you please tell me like the ice road location, for example? And I laughed about it, and then in the end I was really mad. I really wanted to have the ice road hint right there.
So we got to have a good laugh on the restream because of that hint, because you went to check the shopping mall hint, and at the same time Illis checked the original hint that we saw for the boots at the same time. Literally the hints were on the screen at the same time in 2 different locations.
Oh, okay. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is.
It was absolutely a thanks seed moment, considering you were pretty much forced to pick that up at 3 minutes into the seed.
Yeah, my escape was pretty good today. I'm proud of that. I really did a good job with this Mario in that case. But I was kind of nervous at some points for actually no reason. I don't know why. I like, you get an item, you find flippers and hammer in pod, and you get that uncomfortable feeling like should have done that before, because it was, I did it already with the bomb jump and stuff. And well, okay, whatever.
But if you consider the logic for getting that hammer, though, which was, hey, you actually kind of need to beat Aga to get access to this area logically, then I think that should make you feel good about it.
Yeah. I mean, I smelled the egg seed, to be fair. I had only... Did I have any locations left? Oh yeah, I had one item in Eastern, which I actually checked later on. For the ice rod, after the Thieves Town big chest.
So I don't really have any other questions, so feel free to share any thoughts you have about the seed.
Well, it was a good escape. I mean, if you see 3 bombs on Link's house, or at least if I see those, I'm a little worried about the uncle item, because in 95% of my races, or seeds rather, there are going to be 10 bombs as well. Luckily, it wasn't the time of this time, but you know. So Mario is a pretty boring weapon, but you take it when you get early bombs. And I think... So, did Death Mountain have any good items besides the Fire Rod?
Death Mountain, no, I believe.
Like,
I think that was it. If I could stop you there for a moment. In the meantime, we unfortunately had a forfeit from Virtue Cap. Regardless, it was a good attempt, and GG's to him, and we'll see if we can also get him in here. He's already in chat. Continue, sorry. So we were talking about Death Mountain not having anything other than the Fire Rod.
I mean, at least Dark Death Mountain. The East Death Mountain had like Moon Pearl and I think gloves. Get that right?
Book was in Paradox Cave, and then gloves were in... I don't even know. I think it was in
Kakariko. I think it was Kakariko pretty early on. Pretty certain it was Kakariko.
And in the meantime, we also have Virtue Cat in here, so, GG?
I'd rather play Dota than do this seed.
It was a brutal one, definitely, so, tell us what thoughts you have right now about it.
Well, my first thought is just, where's the ice rod?
So the ice rod is actually a Misery Mire, it's the second item.
Oh, cool. Cool.
You're not the only one that skipped that. Ravis was in the lead on the restream for quite a while, and he actually about a minute ahead of Illus overall, and then he decided to skip it as well. And that accounts for the 20-minute gap there, unfortunately.
No, I think I just started getting really, really frustrated when I knew that Aga had to be done. But I wanted to try to do the water walk skip, and I messed it up a couple times. Went and did a bunch of other things, and then tried it again, messed it up, but eventually got it. And for that, I'm thankful.
So do you realize what you did wrong when you were trying to set up the water walk?
No.
So you did correctly bonk south when... running past the hole, so that sets it up. And if during that, if after like setting it up, you walk near a hole to the point where it starts actually moving Link into the hole, which you usually don't feel when you're just kind of skimming the edge, it actually disarms the water walk.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought I had to do that to do it.
So if you're using the bonk strat to set it up, then you don't. You just have to dash past the hole, bonk, and then just avoid walking near a hole or jumping down an edge.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought that I had to walk near the edge. Yeah. I will keep that in mind for next time.
And you can check if it's still armed by holding your sword out and walking down a ladder or staircase, and if you're walking at normal speed, then it's still armed.
I actually really didn't know that. That's actually awesome.
So, tell us your thoughts about this seed.
Well, I mean, I was really excited about getting boots early. I knew, I saw the hint when I think it was Desert Palace. I was like, oh yeah, Ether is on Sauce. I was like, alright, well, I got my green gold gloves. Let me check Misery Mire real quick just to check that. And yeah, it just I knew that's what I needed to do, but then finding that hammer was the hardest part.
Yeah, there was definitely a unreasonable expectation for you to beat Dagger to actually get that after having Darkhold access. It's a very unusual thing to see.
Yeah, I only see it happen like 1 out of 20 seeds or so. Yeah, it is what it is.
So, one thing that you didn't get to experience, unfortunately, due to this, is the fact that 2 swords are actually just right next to each other in Ganon's Tower on the right side. You were expected to have no more than Master Sword all the way up until this point.
That's gross. Yeah. Plus, I felt like I should have forfeited because I saw a couple of spoilery comments in IRC. Please don't do that.
Oh wait, were there actually spoilers being thrown around in IRC?
It got a little... It was vague, but yeah.
Always hate when people are overeager about the seed being bad. It's not nice. People don't do that. So anyway, I don't really have any other questions. If you have any thoughts, well, feel free to vent here, because we are still on for at least 5 minutes until Verts gets his GAN done. I think it's more realistically 3 minutes at this point, fighting Mordon 2 right now.
If you could tell me something you do at the office that you should really do at home, that would be great. I want to say nap.
I don't know. Probably my worst office offense is using a Nintendo Switch in there, but that's about it.
Oh, this other family says shave at the office. That's I wouldn't shave at an office.
So in the meantime, we have Verts fighting Aghanim 2. Soon to drop in with the big pig, and then should be on a very, very, very long seats. So in the meantime, we did have a few finishes since Rebus has finished. We have Looney Cloud in 16th place, Seto 10987 in 17th place, AK Drist in 18th place, Obscure Lifeform in 19th, and Ralin Tankir in 20th. And we are on the final hurrah, Verts dropping in to fight the big pig. That should be enough for phase 3. Yep, there we go. You of course not... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just a few hits and we'll be to phase 4.
Yep. He, of course, not having silver arrows, already going for the lamp there. He picks Fire Rod now. Yep, going back to the lamp. I'm always iffy about that north position for setting up a torch glitch, because the fire hitboxes aren't actually that great. I was wondering if he was going to miss it just based on hitboxes there.
He keeps getting a little bit too close again and gets tagged by those fire bats.
And it gets very uncomfortable when you're knocked off of your rhythm by a few fire bat hits. Almost taking a fall there, but he does save it.
He also needs to be careful. I'm not sure if he has a fairy or not, but one more hit will actually kill him.
I know that he went to buy a few potions before Trinex. Wonder if he still has any of those. I know he doesn't have a fairy because he tried to death walk on the laser bridge to refill his health and use the fairy instead. Oh, that was extremely close.
Very close.
Has to be super careful here.
Okay.
Alright, so he can play it a little bit more eager, but he still has to be careful not to be knocked off the platform, of course.
And there he goes.
Definitely was a nail biter. But once he crosses that bridge, he should be done.
Hurry up, get your GGs in chat for Verts, who is going to finish in 21st place with an official time of 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 32 seconds.
GG's to him. We'll see if we can get him in for a quick interview as well. In the meantime, Sure has finished just behind Verts in 22nd place, and we still have two runners off-stream compete, or free-stream compete.
Yep, looks like we got Verts in the waiting room. I'm going to go ahead and pull him up.
Hello.
Okay, hang on. Discord's not liking us.
Hello?
Hello.
It's GG, my good sir.
Thank you.
So, after 2 hours and 21 minutes, you must have a lot of thoughts about this seed.
I did not like this seed. It was not my friend.
No, it was not. So, how about that Aga requirement then?
Yeah, I felt like there was a point where I was looking at my map and I was like, you know, I can't get to Palace of Darkness or the entire eastern half of the Dark World without killing Aga. So maybe I should do that. But instead of doing that, I just said, you know, I'll clear everything else that I possibly can and then get Aga if I have to. And that was not a good choice.
So this was one of those seats which made you wish you had learned the waterwalk setup to skip that.
Yeah, I realized like I just don't know how to do things yet. So, you know, it's a work in progress.
Don't worry, you'll learn it eventually and it will
Yes.
never come up again.
Right, exactly.
This is a rarity.
Yeah, I was not very happy to find both flippers and hammer in Palace of Darkness. Well, both unhappy and happy, you know? It's like, it's good to get them, but they were a little bit too late.
It's one of those. It's basically the exact scenario that just ends up with the Agalock, isn't it? Is both of those items, those exact items, are locked behind the 7 item locations that are located on the right side there.
Yeah. Yep, it was not nice.
Here's one thing I'm curious about, and haven't actually remembered to ask this from the other races. So literally everyone decided to, after clearing the 2 items from front of Skull Wards, go to Mothula. What is the reasoning behind that?
Sorry, so after... Can you say that again? Sorry, I want to make sure I get it.
Everyone found the 2 items from Skull Wards in the front, but everyone then decided at different points, but for everyone before actually considering a sequence break or just a route to Palace of Darkness to kill Morphula, despite him not being able to actually have any items.
Right. I think that I decided to wait on that partly because I was really late getting the mirror. The mirror was over in Bumper Cave. Yeah, and I was like kind of late going over there in the first place. I think I had a moment where I almost went over there in my first blind fight when I ran out of magic and then my bee failed me. I was really hoping that bee would get him, but it didn't. I was like, oh, I should go check Bumper Cave while I'm looking for magic, but didn't go there. And so I delayed that. I delayed going to Mothula just because I didn't have the mirror, so I couldn't get to the fire rod at that point. So I think I might have taken longer to get to Mothula than other folks did, maybe, just because I didn't take that time to get the mirror. But I knew that I had to finish Skullwoods eventually, and my thinking was it's a red crystal, so I'm going to get the red crystal because that with Thieves Town gets me the pyramid, which was ultimately not helpful. And even with that, I couldn't even get to the pyramid at that point without the hammer or the flippers. So yeah, that's kind of where I was with that.
Right, interesting. Yeah, you did seem to have a little bit of trouble, and it was absolutely unfortunate that you ran out of magic during the blind fight. I don't recall how much you went in with, but I do know that at least another racer did have magic troubles at the same spot. They just went out to the front and farmed enemies, and like the fourth one dropped the full magic read. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where I ended up getting more magic. I think I might have just gotten like little bits of magic and decided, all right, that's going to be good enough, and we'll make it work. Yeah, that was not a fun moment. I really considered dropping at that point. But I was like, this is the one game I'm going to get to play today. I might as well just go all in and try.
Well, I don't have any other questions to you. Do you have any, Sir Lincoln?
Not that I can think of. I'm like trying to. This was a very long seed, and it's kind of exhausting. So I'm like, just kind of processing where I could have gone to Aga earlier. I was trying to think when would have been a better time to do that.
There was no good point.
There was no good point, yeah.
The only sword you had logically available to you was actually locked deep behind those mitts with the purple chest, not quite an appealing location.
Yeah, that was not fun. I had to laugh a lot when I got into GT because in the hope chests, getting tempered sword and gold sword, and then getting half magic on the torch. I was like, this is a not nice seed. That's just not cool.
We were very much expecting when Illis was going through that to open up Silvers in the first chest of Stalfos room, but that didn't happen.
It would have been nice. It would have saved me a little bit of time on Ganon too.
So yeah, as Ganon told you, those were actually an Ice Palace, so it was completely out of the way for anyone that didn't skip Ice Rod.
Yeah, well, it's funny, I almost went into Ice Palace at one point. I think I almost went in there before going into Swamp. I think my decision there was like, well, I'll go to Swamp just because it has more chests in it. So
there was, I don't know if you remember this, there was a very early hint in the game that said the green pendant knocks ether. So
yeah,
boss was actually required.
Yeah, do you remember where that was? Because I either completely skipped it or was very distracted by something else.
I think that was the hint in Desert Palace.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I was doing... I don't remember why I was distracted at that point. I think at that point my internet was starting to act up, and I was like getting notifications from Steam like, you're no longer connected. So I think I probably just like blanked on it when I read it. that would have saved me some time.
You also did just pick up the Titan Smiths as well.
Ah, yes, that's right. So yeah, double distraction where I'm like, all right, I should click my tracker and also do this thing and fix my internet. But yeah, there you go. It was a seed, I'll say that.
Alright. Any closing thoughts?
No, it was a good time. Thank you all for putting me on the stream. This is a rough one to be on my first restream, but it was fun.
Alright, so and with that, I'd like to thank today's crew. Sir Linkalot777 here with me in the commentary booth, Phantom Black Ice, and literally Jen on tracking. Without them, we couldn't possibly follow this. Also thanks to our racers, Ravis10, Illis24, Verts505, Virtuecat Gaming. Make sure to give everyone involved a follow. And with that, I have been Baliame, and I'll see you next time.
Yep, and I've been Sir Lancelot777. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Just to let you all know what's going on Speed Gaming quick before we go, though. Right now, the Ultimate Decathlon is going over on Speed Gaming according to the schedule. Other than that, it's kind of a little bit of a break. We've got the Super Metroid Prodigy tournament starting up at 6 o'clock, as well as there's going to be a Portal 2 at 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock, we've got 3 races. We've got the Wind Waker Randomizer, Kirby's Dream Land, and then a Link to the Past Randomizer League race between Les French Canadians and Team Awesome, and it'll be Ninban and Hitsayan 1337, and that one will be on Speed Gaming 3. But that will do it for us, and I hope you all have a great rest of your evening or afternoon wherever you are watching.